Hey, what's up, guys? Alright, so we got a brand new chapter of Black Clover out, so let's just jump right into it. Alright, so we start the chapter off in the Vermilion Castle, and we see basically the team of Anne, Mimosa, and Kirsch, all three of them working together to basically evacuate the castle. Now, the three of them know that in a fight, they don't stand a chance against the elves, so instead, Kirsch is actually using his petal magic, his floral magic, to basically distract all the elves, keep them in place so he can get the civilians out to safety. Which, by the way, speaking of that, I just realized all three members of this team use floral magic in a way. So it's kind of cool that it's kind of like their team grass type. Oh, and by the way, the first elf we actually get to see that they're actually going up against in this chapter is actually the elf that's taking over Alcdora. So, I mean, he doesn't really do anything in the chapter, he just kind of sits there. But it is nice to see that he's going to be their opponent, or at least one of their opponents. Anyway, while Kirsch is using his floral magic to basically distract the elves, and N is using his fungus magic, I don't really know what his fungus were actually doing in this chapter, but they're doing something, probably like using his spores to like distract them or hallucinate them, something like that. Anyway, the three of them are working together to get the civilians out of the castle. And while they're doing this one elf, I believe he introduces himself as Basara. He comes out of nowhere, like literally just walks through the floral magic without being affected by it at all. And he kind of just starts talking to Mimosa. Like, he doesn't fight, he doesn't really try to do anything. He's actually being kind of friendly to them. He basically tells her, hey, listen, regardless if you guys stay in here or if you get out with the civilians, you're dead. Because, I mean, either you stay in here and we will kill you because we obviously outmatch you guys when it comes to power, or you go outside and people even more powerful than us will kill you because they're waiting just outside. So you're kind of screwed here. So what's the point? Just give up. And oh man, I gotta say, this part of the chapter actually really impressed me because we could see just how much Mimosa has like taken inspiration from Asta in this chapter. Because right here, she's basically telling him, when Elf basically tells her that it's hopeless and there's no reason for her to continue fighting, she basically says, no matter what, we're not giving up. Like, no matter what you say, no matter how outmatched we are, we're gonna fight to our last. And it's just so cool to see our girl Mimosa just like being this brave, because in the beginning of the series, she was still cool, but she definitely was not as brave as she is right now. And just like with Noelle, that bravery that Mimosa is displaying in this chapter is all coming from her basically being inspired by Asta, basically seeing seeing his character and taking that and putting it onto herself. And you know what? Now that I think about it, every character that Asta is basically inspired throughout the series has gained some kind of new power up. So here's hoping next time we see Mimosa that she actually will get some kind of power up. Anyway, after we get on with that, which is basically just the first half of the chapter dealing with Mimosa and Kirsch trying to help the civilians, we head back over to the actual royal castle where we actually get to see the king. And we see that basically Langris is attacking the king. He's trying to kill the king off with spatial magic. And he's actually also fighting against his own father. I mean, sure, it's the elf inside of Langris that's actually fighting his father, but it's basically Langris. As far as they're concerned, it's Langris attacking them. And we see his father is getting absolutely dominated by this elf inside Langris. Now, I want you to remember this. Langris's father is getting dominated by Langris. Now, after his dad basically gets taken out, the king decides that he's going to step up and actually try to do something. And this is when we find out that the king actually has the same kind of magic as Patry, light magic, which, as we know from the series, light magic is extremely rare. So as soon as the king starts using his magic, I'm thinking, alright, he's actually about to start doing some shit. He actually might be able to, do some kind of powerful attack. Nope, Langris takes him out like that. Like, literally, Langris takes out his magic in an instant. And then just as Langris is actually about to take out the king, we see Finesse actually show up and try to stop him. Which, by the way, if you don't remember who Finesse is, I don't blame you. She only showed up for a brief moment during the Royal Knights arc. But anyway, if you remember back to that flashback where we got to see Langris' side of him and Finral's childhood, you'll remember that Finesse is actually Langris' fiance from an arranged marriage between their two parents. And if you remember from the flashback, you should know that we saw in the flashback that instead of wanting to marry Langris, Finesse actually likes Finral. And that's actually important, because as we see, when Langris actually tries to kill Finesse for trying to stop him from killing the king, we see Finral come up and actually stop Langris' attack dead in his tracks. Now, this isn't really anything new. We already saw during the Royal Knights tournament that basically Finral can use his spatial magic to cancel out Langris' attacks. But what is actually kind of interesting in this moment is the fact that, well, at least I pretty much assumed that any other spatial mage could do the same thing, especially since Finral is an attack type mage. I figured, someone more powerful than him that actually is an attack type mage would be able to do the exact same thing, cancel out Langris' attacks through spatial magic. But as we saw when his dad was trying to fight him, his dad's attacks were basically being completely outmatched compared to against Langris. Now, it could be that against normal Langris, his dad actually might stand a chance against him and actually might be able to, cancel out the attacks like Finral did. But in this instance, with the elf controlling him, basically boosting his magical power, we saw that his dad was completely outmatched. But despite that, Finral was actually able to cancel an attack out with his own spatial magic. So I guess you could basically infer from this chapter that despite the fact that Finral is not an attack type mage, he's actually a support type, we actually see that he might be actually stronger than his actual father, who looked down on him for being weak this entire time. Anyway, we see Finral save Finesse, continuing the soap opera drama between the three of them. When Langris gets pissed off and asks them how they got into the throne room, we actually see Yami and Jack the Ripper show up and drew Finral's spatial magic, teleport right to Langris, ready to attack him and try to take him out. But unfortunately, we actually end up finding out at the very end of the chapter that Langris actually has spatial magic around him, basically protecting him from attacks. So, since the two of them are kind of close combat fighters, they're kind of outgunned or kind of in a very big disadvantage in this chapter. Now, I mean, sure, Yami can still use, long range attacks, but dark magic is very slow, and his attacks are always head on, so it'll be very easy for someone like Langris who uses spatial magic to dodge his attacks. So Yami and Jack are basically out of fight, at least until they can find a way to either lower the barrier or get around to protect the barrier that Langris has around them, keeping them from getting close. Which means that this fight basically just became a one-on-one between Langris and Finral. Now, it's going to be kind of weird because we already saw this fight go down during a Real Nice tournament, and the fact that Finral hasn't really had time to train or anything, he's been kind of in a coma this entire time, and the fact that he's still a support type mage, he's really at a big disadvantage. But here's the thing though, we just got through 3 or 4 chapters of Noelle gaining a new type of ability that allowed her to basically defeat an opponent that she normally wouldn't have been able to take down. Now, in this situation, it's kind of different because Noelle was an attack type mage and Finral is a support type mage. But you gotta remember, until Noelle learned Roar the Sea Dragon, everyone thought she was a support type mage as well. So who's to say that Finral is actually not an attack type mage, he just hasn't learned any attack type spells yet. We could actually see him learn his very first attack type spell in this chapter or in the next few chapters while he's fighting off against Langris. But anyway guys, that's pretty much all that happened in the chapter. Now if I seem like a little unenthusiastic about this review, it's just because of the fact that this chapter, when you compare this chapter to the last 2 or 3 that we had when we're focusing on Noelle, it didn't really live up to it. It kind of killed the momentum that those chapters built up. But at the same time, this was a setup chapter, basically setting up the fight between Finral and Langris. So it's understandable that it would actually kind of bring the momentum down a lot in order to build it back up. But that's it for the chapter, that's it for the review. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop me a like, subscribe to the channel, I greatly appreciate it. Comment down below with your thoughts and theories, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.